So you mentioned going on that the sheep hunt and Fred Bear. Is there a certain hunt that you is your favorite you went on that you could tell us about?
Well, yeah. When people ask me what's the most memorable hunt I ever went on, it was a caribou hunt in the Northwest Territories. Took my son, Dave, his wife, and my wife Janet, and we went up to Northwest Territories, fished, got up there before caribou season. Then Dave had never killed a caribou. I'd been up there a number of times and killed several bulls up there. It was a good place. That the first day, in we were out there on the tundra. I killed. We were eating lunch. We took a break. We were setting up on a windswept knoll. The black flies were horrible. The caribou were running like crazy. Clouds of insects all around them. And then we ate lunch, and a bull that had been running back and forth ran up and ran past us in the rocks. I got my bow and made a little stop and shot him. So I took him back to the boat. The guide and I packed the meat and the horns and the cape and everything. And it was about 2 or 3 miles back to the boat at the edge of the lake. Packed back, and when I was gone, Dave, my son, spotted another bull. He made a stop and killed it. And they were just getting ready to dress it when I got back. And Leon was Dave's guide, and he was getting ready to dress the animal. Those guys can do such a fast job, and I mean, this is what they do. Well, anyway, while he was skinning out a leg, he came to a point where it was a little bristle. He went like this, and he stabbed himself in the groin and cut the femoral artery. And here we are, 100 miles from Yellowknife from the nearest hospital, or a float plane ride from, it's 100 plus miles, plus getting them back across the tundra, across the lake to camp. And each time his heart beat, it was squirting out a stream of blood about a foot and a half long. And instantly, he was wearing white coveralls, and instantly just soaked in red. And I just figured he was dead. I killed a bull elk in Montana, or in New Mexico, the year before, and I cut its femoral artery. And here's a 800, 900 pound bull, and it didn't make it 100 yards and bled out. Well, make a long story short, I managed to get a tourniquet on Leon's leg. We called camp, and it just so happened a float plane had dropped off supplies, and they said they would come back if we could get him. But we were 2 or 3 miles from the boat. Leon was a big kid, and to try to carry him across the spongy tundra just wasn't going to work. But anyway, Kinnicut diamond mining operation had a camp maybe 90 miles north of us, and they heard our SOS broadcast, and they said, we've got a chopper here in camp. We'll fly down, and we can land and get him back to camp if you got a plane that can get him to Yellowknife. And so the good Lord was looking out, and we got him back to camp, and they rushed him to the hospital, and he passed out just as the plane was landing. And the doctor said he wouldn't have made it if it had been much longer. But we did save his life, and he was waiting in the hospital when we stopped to visit him before we went back to Montana. And he was very appreciative. But that's the sort of thing that just the gods were looking out for him and for us. And that was the most unforgettable bow hunt I've ever made in 60 plus years of bow hunting. And just by the grace of God, he didn't bleed out.
That's an incredible hunt.
Yeah, yeah, not in a way I thought you were going to tell a story.
Yeah, you had to really be terrified there for a while, and but then so gracious that you're actually able to save him, because I think the odds of saving somebody that got stuck in the femoral artery that far out is
Oh yeah,
it's 1,000,000 to 1.
yeah, yeah. But it just, like I said, the good Lord, the cut was low enough that I could get it between his crotch and shut off the blood supply. And the plane just happened to be coming back, and then that helicopter saved him. And my daughter-in-law flew down with him to the hospital and spent time down there, and then came back the next day.
Yep.
Leon, 2 years later, the guy from the camp stopped by my place in Montana, and he wanted to know if he could come out, and said sure. And anyway, he had a package, and he said, "This is from Leon." And I said, "Oh." And I opened it up, and it's his master guide badge, and he just had a note in there that said, "Thanks again." And I've got that along with some of my special memories in one of my display cases.
That's neat.
You don't forget things like that.
No, no. And that's something that, like, nowadays, it'd be hard pressed to find someone that knows how to use a tourniquet kit. Yeah, so thank God you were, educated enough to do that for him,
Yeah. And my daughter-in-law is a teacher, and of course she knew first aid, and I'd had first aid classes, and so it wasn't like we were just groping around trying to save his life. We knew what it took, and it just the grace of God, and
Yep.
you
Yeah.
don't you never forget anything like that.
I heard a comedian the other day. I listened to something, I can't remember, but he said the good Lord just wants some of us back, and some of us He don't want back. So that was about
Right,
the. Sounds like that was
right.
the case with your friend there. Wasn't his time to come back.